Can you believe that February is almost over and I haven't even played with my February SCT Sampler yet? We are going to change that today. Hi guys, I'm Jana Eubank, and this month's February Sampler features both the Bella Boulevard Our Love Song collection and the American Crafts Stardust collection, two super cute collections. Now today I'm going to be working with the Bella Boulevard Our Love Song collection. This is a Valentine type theme collection, but you don't have to use Valentine collections just for Valentine's Day. I love this set of papers because you can use it to document people you love, places that you love, or in my case, things you love. Today we're going to be scrapbooking this layout about some photos of my daughter and her love for her 80s style tracksuit. Let's go ahead and get started. To start off, I'm just flipping through my sampler so that you can see the papers that we received for both the Stardust and the Our Love Song collections. Super cute. The colors are going to be awesome for these photos. I'm so excited. We also receive a sampling of cards and stickers and a few die cuts from both of those collections that you can incorporate into your projects. Another great thing about the samplers is that they always feature an exclusive item. So in this kit, we received a word die cut that says the word beautiful along with the shadow die, and then we also received a little 3x4 stamp with coordinating phrases that go with that word beautiful. So cute. I'm going to be using that stamp set on my other layout that I do with the Stardust collection. Now for the photos for this layout, I am using 3 photos. I have a larger one that is 3.5 by 5, and then the 2 smaller photos are 3x4 photos that I have cut down to 2.5 by 4. I will be using some white and black American Crafts cardstock for my background layer, and I just trimmed that white one down slightly to leave about 3/8 of an inch border all the way around. And then I did go ahead and gut that black cardstock, which I use here to map my photos. Now the idea I had for this layout is to have put these 3 photos in a row. The larger one, I've done a little bit of a larger sized mat on it to call attention to it. And I'm going to build 3 columns of patterns vertically behind these photos that will actually be the exact same width as each of those photos. So I'm going through the papers here, and I'm just going to select 3 that I think will look nice together. I first chose that teal or blue dotted photo or paper in the center because I know that solid type color will call attention to that main photo. And then on either side, I'm going to be using multicolored patterns that have a white background. Now because they are a white on white, the white background pattern paper with the white cardstock background, I'm going to be inking all of those pieces with some light gray ink just to set them off and to define them a little bit from that white cardstock background. So you can see here how I'm cutting those strips to make it appear as though there's a column of pattern paper behind each of those photos, when in fact I'm going to be cutting them in half and then hiding the seam behind the photos. So that's what you can do with these types of kits where you're working with 6x6 paper pads. You can just piece things together and make it look as though you have larger strips of pattern paper, but you're just getting a lot of mileage out of some smaller sheets. I love the 3 patterns that I picked. The hearts, of course, represent the love that my daughter has for this tracksuit, and then I thought the music notes went well with this because the 80s are all about the song, the music. You know, everybody loves 80s music, so I thought that would be fun. While I was going through the 6x6 papers, I found the little border strip paper, and it had this word forever on it. I decided to clip that out, and I'm going to be using that as part of my title block. So I'm just setting that off to the side. Now to get these pieces of paper all aligned, I'm going to be using a grid ruler, and I'm going to mat them about 1 1/8 inch from the bottom and 1 1/8 inch from the top. So I'll go ahead and get these pieces all lined up, and we'll come back in just a second. Now, as I go to put these photos into place, I'm realizing that I have this little tiny white gap in between on the sides of the little photos and the large photos. So side to side, you're seeing a little sliver of white cardstock, and I really don't like that because I'm trying to hide that I don't have a full strip of pattern paper. So initially I had that thicker black mat on the center photo trying to call attention to it, but what I decided to do is trim that down to 1/8 of an inch, just like the other two smaller photos, and now I'm going to mat this photo onto some pink pattern paper from the kit. So this is a solution that I actually like a lot better than my original idea. Number one, it hides those little gaps on the sides, and number two, that pop of pink in the center of the page is just fantastic. Love it. Now that I have the photos in place, I'm going to go through all the little tiny bits that I have left in my kit and see what coordinates with this Our Love Song collection. You can see that I have some strips of paper left over, I have a few little flower die cuts, I have some little title pieces, and then I have these roller skate Bella Pops. I love those roller skates. They're going to be perfect because they have that 80s vibe, and so I'm going to be using those as an accent to the left of my title. I will go ahead and add it to the left side of that Forever block, and then I'm going to pull in some of my black thickers from my stash to continue the spelling out my title, which is going to be 80s Forever. Now these black thickers are really old, but I love them. They're actually called Eric. And I love them because they have a nice large size and they're nice and big and bold, and they work well on pages like this where you just want the title to jump out. Now on the back of one of those 6x6 papers, I had this scrap with the solid stripes. I decided to mount the 80s word or title portion onto this yellow paper because and just make a block title with 80s on one block and the Forever on the other block. Initially I thought I would use my pinking shears to just add a little bit of decorative edge across the top of that yellow block. You know, the 80s had all kinds of like squiggly shapes and triangles, just like her tracksuit there, but I didn't end up liking it. So I'm just going to take my ruler, draw a line, and cut that off and just leave it nice and straight and solid. So now that that's feeling good, I'm going to start coming in and filling in some spaces and adding some decorative elements around that title. Now right above those roller skates, there's that little spot on the left that I want to fill in with something. I thought I could just tuck that heart there that came with the dude or the Bella Pop, but it wasn't large enough. Also, that red color kind of got lost because the tracksuit is so bright and red, and so it just kind of blended into the photo a little bit. So I decided not to do that, and so I'm flipping through the other pieces thinking about what I might do. Do I want to cut out some of the music notes from the paper and scatter them right there? Or wait, I see this little piece of paper that has the tags and the 2x2 squares on it. So I decided to cut these elements out, and I'm actually going to fussy cut this larger heart with the music notes, and then I will also end up fussy cutting those lips that are over on the right hand side. I thought that larger heart might fill that space nicely by the roller skates, but again, because it has that red and pink color, it almost blends into the photo or blends into that heart pattern paper, and so I decided not to put it there. I set it off to the side, and I do eventually add it to the top of the left corner of the large photo, which it will look nice there. I add those lips to the top or to the right side of the title, which I think looks super cute. And then now I'm going to fussy cut these little black hearts, these polka dot hearts and black and white striped hearts to scatter around the page. I pull in the few little flower die cuts that I have to accent the title, and then there's also that pink floral strip on the left. I'm going to end up fussy cutting more of those flowers to add with those little flower die cuts. But in the meantime, I'm fussy cutting out these little tiny black hearts. Now, because the title is so bold and big with that black, I also decided to tuck that song card at the top of my main photo just to bring that black color up to the top of the page and balance out that big bold title. I have these black hearts and the striped hearts. The striped hearts are kind of blending into the colorful patterns, so I first work with the polka dot ones and make sure they're distributed around the page evenly, and I'm even trying to decide, do I want to use the striped hearts? Are they just disappearing into the background? However, I think that as the eye goes through the page and you start meandering and taking in all the details, you will notice those striped hearts, especially because I'm going to be popping them up onto some foam tape. And so it will just be a fun dimensional detail added to this page. Now, I love this little tag that also came, and I thought I might tuck it behind the third photo, just having a bit of interest there in design, but it didn't quite work, so I pulled it off, and I will eventually actually add my journaling above that third photo. So I move it around a few times, but I just decide, yeah, I'm going to leave it off this page. I'm still deciding if I can incorporate this tiny red Bella Pop heart. I also look at the little lips on the paper to see, well, maybe I want to add those on. But I decide that it's too much red, and that the red that is on there should really be that tracksuit, just pulling your attention in. So now that I like the overall design that I have going, I'm going to use foam tape and adhesive to get all the pieces down. Initially I just set them there to work on the design, but now that I know I like this design, I'm going to put everything in place. Here I am just trying out those lips and taking off that red heart and deciding, nope, I don't need that. Now I did decide that I wanted to add a horizontal band of color across the bottom of the photos. So I find this red strip on the border paper, and I decide to do the same thing like I did with the other pattern paper strips and cut it in half and make it appear as though it's a longer strip going across the bottom of the photos. So I like that punctuates the photos, and I think it finishes that off really nicely. The last thing I'm going to do is add the journaling above that third photo like I mentioned before, and then I'm going to add some of these mirror dots. They're like these clear gems onto the hearts to give them some shine. And then I also use these clear pops of color by Scrapbook.com to add a glossy accent to the center of the floral die cuts. That Bella Pop roller skate had epoxy wheels, so I thought that clear pops of color on the lips as well as the flowers would tie into that nicely. Don't those lips remind you of the 80s lip gloss? Yeah, Wet n Wild, baby. We all collected the Wet n Wild lip glosses and nail polishes, right? All right, guys, that does it for my first layout with the February sampler. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for coming by, and we'll see you next time.